We have, short amount of time here. I'd just urge everybody to take the appropriate precautions. You still have time to do what you need to do, but we are going to be faced with a major hurricane hitting the state of Florida within, the next 24 to 36 hours.
So. What's going on, Mutha Truckers? Welcome to Mutha Trucker News. Emails at muthatruckernews@gmail.com. Look, we got really big news here. It's definitely going to be affecting Florida. If you are a truck driver in the Tampa area, I'm sure you heard about this. But man, I'm letting you know right now, especially you have your trucks, your equipment in 22 counties. I'm going to list them right down in the screen below here and more descriptions down below. But there is going to be a hurricane category 3 that's hitting. The first thing I want to let truck drivers know is, for one, Ron DeSantis, the governor, says that you don't have to drive out hundreds of miles out of the state, but you definitely need to get out of these 22 counties and get to higher ground. All right. First thing for truck drivers, Florida waives hour of service rules for truckers ahead of a hurricane. And so I'm going to put down all the information that you guys can click the link on. But it basically says the emergency order was issued by Governor Ron DeSantis on August 26 in response to the hurricane, which is expected to make landfall on Wednesday as of Category 3, bringing the possibility of dangerous storm surge, heavy rainfall, flash flooding, strong winds, hazardous seas, and the potential for isolated tornadic activity for Florida, Big Bend, and portions of Florida's Gulf Coast, right? Yeah, this is going to be a big one. It's been a while since a Category 3 has actually hit this area. And so, Mutha Truckers, just know that, hey, we appreciate you. We thank all the truck drivers that are willing to jump and drive into Florida to help, right? The order also waives hours of service requirements for motor carriers providing emergency relief through September 25th. So just letting you guys know that right there. You do need to keep the full emergency order paperwork in front of you, and I'll have that in the descriptions link down below so that you could download and print that out as well. If you're bringing relief to Florida, here's the big question for you guys. How many of y'all are going to be coming in? Because these rates got to be good. There's a lot of brave truck drivers that are driving into Florida as this is happening because they want that big payday, right? Definitely be safe out there. 100%. If you could dodge Florida, dodge it, because you definitely don't want whatever this hurricane is kicking in. So, Mutha Truckers, comment down below. Here's some words from Ron DeSantis given out earlier this morning.
Admiral Doug Schofield with the U.S. Coast Guard. As of 8 a.m. this morning, Hurricane Idalia is located approximately 130 miles south of the Dry Tortugas with winds in excess of 80 miles per hour. It is officially a hurricane. The storm is forecast to make landfall along Florida's Big Bend tomorrow morning as a major hurricane. The National Hurricane Center has issued a hurricane warning for the Gulf Coast from Sarasota County up through Franklin County and the Panhandle, and storm surge watches are also in effect in those areas. The National Hurricane Center advisory includes that if this storm hits at high tide, storm surge could reach 8 to 12 feet in some areas, and so that would be a life-threatening storm surge. I know all those areas are under evacuation notices in the low-lying and coastal areas. You run from the water and you hide from the wind. If you're there in that storm surge, you're putting your life in jeopardy when it gets to be that high. So if you are giving those orders, please heed those orders. You do not have to leave the state. You don't have to drive hundreds of miles. You have to get to higher ground in a safe structure. You can ride the storm out there, then go back to your home once the storm passes. There are evacuation orders for coastal and low-lying areas in 22 different counties along the Gulf Coast, as well as throughout North Florida. To make these evacuations easier on families, we have directed FDOT to waive tolls in Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough Lake, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sumter counties, and that started at 0400 this morning. For those evacuating, Visit Florida has activated the emergency accommodation module with Expedia. So if you want to find a hotel, you can go to expedia.com/Florida. We are continue to coordinate with the power companies across the state. We had, as of this morning, over 25,000 linemen stationed, more on the way. So you will have most likely between 30 and 40,000 linemen when the storm hits will be in the state of Florida, and then they will immediately move to commence power restoration efforts. We've also been working with counties to make sure that they know that we have resources ready to deploy, and we want to be helpful to support their efforts. So we have received more than 450 active missions that we are coordinating. Every resource request we receive has either been filled or will be filled by the end of this morning. We do have 420,000 gallons of fuel staged and ready to deploy, and additional assets are expected over the next few days, and the gas stations that will be prioritized will be the ones along the heavy evacuation routes. We have 8 urban search and rescue teams activated and over 580 search and rescue personnel ready right now. We have delivered 431 pallets of water, 303 pallets of MREs, and over 1,200 tarps to communities that may be impacted. We've got many more gallons of water and a lot of MREs that are ready to be deployed as needed. There are over 20 shelters open, and additional 20 special needs shelters are mobilizing or on standby throughout the state of Florida. We have 5,500 National Guardsmen that have been activated. We have deployed 247 Starlinks with another 529 staged in Central Florida, and they will be deployed to impacted areas as the needs arise. 42 school districts have announced school closures over the next 2 days, along with 16 state colleges and 7 Florida universities. Our Florida Department of Transportation has more than 600 personnel, including over 220 cut and toss crew members, with more than 400 pieces of heavy equipment and trucks strategically placed across the state to prepare for cut and toss operations post-storm. And if you look at that track of where it's going now, you are going to see a lot of debris. There's a lot of trees along that track, and it is going to knock down trees, it's going to knock down power lines, and there's going to be a need to be able to clear a lot of the right-of-ways. Florida Department of Transportation has about 1,100 generators en route to impacted areas, and they're going to use that to get the traffic signals up and running as soon as possible when the storm passes. As wind becomes stronger later today and into the night, FDOT will be coordinating with FHP and local law enforcement to close bridges once the speeds reach in excess of 40 miles an hour. Road rangers will be concentrated along evacuation routes to help motorists. We have also called up 33 ambulance strike teams with over 200 ambulances that are ready to surge into any impacted area. We've also requested an additional 6 strike teams through our Emergency Management Assistance Compact with other states. So this storm is going to hit tomorrow morning. You will start certainly seeing effects of this in different parts of the state later on today. You still have time this morning to be able to make your final preparations. If you are in one of those areas that's in line for some of the major storm surge and you're told to evacuate, you have time to do that. But you got to do that now. You don't have to go hundreds of miles. You can go to a shelter in a different part of your county, go to a friend's house in an area that is not going to be susceptible to the storm surge, hotel. All these things are good to do, and you should do that and heed. This is going to be a major hurricane, likely a Category 3, and where it's scheduled to hit along this big bend, and we've not really had a hurricane strike this area for a long, long time. I think you got to go back to the 1800s before you would see a path like this. And so those coastal areas there, have not necessarily been through this before. And I think that being safe is the appropriate thing, and erring on the side of caution is the appropriate thing. We will, of course, be mindful of any changes in the path of this storm. I think everybody on that Gulf Coast from Tampa Bay up until Northwest Florida must remain vigilant. They have nudged the track a little bit further west over the last 24 hours. I mean, we were looking at potentially a Levy County, I think yesterday and today. Now we're looking more at a Taylor County. There's some models that say it may go even further west. So places like Tallahassee, where we are today, certainly you could end up having it hit Tallahassee directly in some of the surrounding areas. So everyone just remain vigilant, continue to watch and listen to the local orders that you receive from your local emergency management personnel. I want to thank everybody. We've been in contact with people from most of these counties over the last few days. Everybody's working hard. Everybody understands that that this is a significant event, and they're remaining calm, cool, and collected. But they're executing, and that's what we need to continue to do.